Okay, so for today I'm going to show you how to get all the masses of your rocket. The first thing you need is the dry mass. I like to use these rolls of tape to help support it. So we'll turn it on, tear out the weight of the tape. So that reads 0. I have everything that I need in here, the battery, the altimeter, everything that's going to fly on the rocket. Let's take off the cap, that'll be for later because that's not going to fly on the rocket. It's a little bit windy today, so we're going to try to do this and not have everything blow away. Any tape, whoop, come back here. It's a little hard. And there's nothing in it to hold it. Put this on the top here as part of the mass. Okay, we have our dry mass of our rocket at 126 grams. Okay, so now we're going to fill the rocket up with water. So we still have our dry mass on there. I took the cone off, but it'll go back on, so we'll add that at the end. We'll fill this up with 1,000 milliliters of water. Just making sure it doesn't blow over in the wind. Let me put it back on with the nose cone. Okay, so that is everything. Looks like I was a little low on the water. Let me add in just a little bit more water for that. I thought it was going to be too high, but we'll add a little bit more. Okay. Our dry mass was 126. Now that we have our water and everything, water plus rocket is 1109. So that means we have a little bit less than 1,000 grams of water. That should go up to 1126. If we wanted to, we could add a little bit, but that's close enough. As long as we record what it is, we can use it. Now that it's full of water, it's a little more stable, so that helps. Take this off. Using our cap so we don't lose any of our water. Put that back on. Get that ready to launch by plugging in our battery. Yeah, you might zoom in on that so you can see the battery. Plugging it in, it only plugs in one way, so you can't plug it in backwards. We check our light to make sure it's flashing quickly, which it is. So we're all good to go there. I'm going to add in some foam peanuts to try to protect the altimeter. I like to put one foam peanut inside the cap, tucking in the wires so they're nice and protected. Notice I didn't plug in the battery until after I filled it full of water because I don't want water getting all over the altimeter when it's plugged in. Water and electronics don't mix very well. Now we'll take and put 3 peanuts inside there. I'm neglecting the weight of the peanuts, but I can also get the final mass one more time at the end just to be sure to see how much they made a difference. The key here to getting this to fly straight is making sure the nose cone is on as straight as possible. Otherwise, your rocket will either tilt up or tilt down if your nose cone is not straight. That's looking pretty good there. The nose cone's too tall to get a final mass, so I'll just keep with the final mass that we had before. How's that nose cone look? Does that look pretty straight, observers? All right, that looks good. Okay, so for this step, we're going to load the water rocket onto the launcher. The first thing that we need to do is take off our cap that was holding our water in there. Put some soap on the stopper. Coat that all the way around. That. Okay. Place that inside the rocket firmly. place this down. We have a couple of different options for where our launch plate can come in because there's grooves on the launcher, so we could come in from this direction or from this direction, and we want to keep in mind where our fins are going to be on the rail. I'm going to put 2 fins down and 1 fin up, so I want my launcher to come out either side. I'd also like to have one side for the altimeter light, so I think we'll put the altimeter light on this side and then put the launch plate on the other side, making sure the launch plate goes over the flange. Pull on that to make sure it's not going to come back off. That means it's over the flange and ready to be put into the launcher. So with that pressure tube fed through the hole, we're going to line this up, 1 fin up, 2 fins down, and then there's a hole on the launch piece that needs to line up with the pin. So we rotate that around until that fits and clicks into place. Now everything's secure. The launch plate's going to come out this side. The altimeter will get triggered on the other side. So we are ready for pressurizing. So the last thing we want to check is the launch angle. So placing the angle finder on this rail, we can double check that that's at 45 degrees. So that looks good to go. Now we want to check for our lane safety. Everything is clear. Campus is basically closed, so nobody's here. I've already checked our regulator. Our regulator is set near 40 psi. I'll adjust that right at the last minute when we pressurize the rocket. Plug in the pressure line, just like we did on the static test. All right, we're ready. Call out on the walkie-talkie. Pressurizing. Pressurizing our rocket. Making sure that that goes up to 40 psi. Sometimes we lose a little bit of pressure in the line because that line was empty, so I'm going to bump that up just slightly. It takes a little bit of a delay for that to go up, so sometimes I have to adjust it ever so slightly. Okay. That's as close as we're going to get, so it's about, there it goes. Now it's at 40. So you can see that's at 40 psi. Okay. Close that off. Now that everything got up to pressure, close the tank just to be sure. Don't want to let all the air out. And disconnect. Move everything out of the splash zone. Including the angle finder. Okay, we ready for launch? Is video ready for launch? Okay. At the last minute, I will swipe this magnet across the read switch on the rocket to activate the altimeter. It's flashing fast, so we know that it's ready to take data, and we will pull the launch cord and launch. I will put the magnet past the altimeter switch at the count of 3 on the countdown. Okay, launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. So the last thing after launch is to get the final mass. The reason why we get the final mass is there could be some residual water that's left over in the rocket after it flies. So we take all the pieces, the broken pieces after it hit the ground, and put that all on the scale. and measure the final mass of the rocket. Gained 1 gram. It was 127 grams. So there's about a gram of water that was left over inside the rocket.